Well, good morning. I'm Pastor Les Chemist. Welcome to Cruisin' the Narrow Road. Today we're enjoying a beautiful day. This lazy summer morning. Just absolutely gorgeous. I love this time of year. I love the heat. We live here in a little bit further north and out in the North Atlantic. We don't get a lot of hot days, but yesterday it hit 30 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is, like 90 or something, I don't know. Maybe it's like a high 80s. But that's wonderful for us. That's absolutely amazing for us. We just don't get those kind of temperatures very often. But great day. Hey, did you catch what was in the intro? Did you see that? Did you see what I saw? Yes, the bike is here. The addition to Cruisin' the Narrow Road's driveway is here. It has arrived. I am now the proud owner of a 2003 Suzuki VStrom DL1000. This bike is an older bike. It might not be the biggest and best for adventure touring bikes. It's no slouch, it's a great bike, but it is a very special bike to me. This bike has a tremendous amount of sentimental value. You remember me telling you about having to do a funeral for my very best friend in the world, Tony, back in January? Well, this V-strom 1000 was Tony's bike, and the family very graciously has allowed me to have this bike. I am over the moon that I get to ride Tony's bike, that I get to have Tony's bike. I am over the moon that I get a V-strom 1000. It's an amazing bike. It's well geared out. It's been, you know, well taken care of. It is not on the road yet. There are some things to do with the registration that need to be ironed out. Specifically, I need to have a full mechanical inspection done on the bike, and I think the reason for that is that the bike has been in storage for a good number of years. And has not been registered and not been on the road, and so it needs a full mechanical inspection legally to get it registered here in Newfoundland. So that is where we are with it, but it is a very, very special bike to me. To have this bike is special because it was my best friend Tony's. Recently, Rebecca and I just celebrated our 31st wedding anniversary. And as we were just contemplating that, the one thing that come up in my mind was that, well, that night before that, Tony was with me. He was my best man at my wedding, so we stayed together the night before the wedding. He was with me for the very, one of the most important days of my life. He was there through many, many things. I don't want to get wallowing into sadness here, but he was my best friend, and so the fact that I get his bike and be able to ride that and tour on it is just, I'm over the moon. Not only is it what it is, which is a great bike, but it was his. So I think maybe you can appreciate the sentiment there. And if you can't, well, that's fine. I'm going to sit and enjoy the blessing that God's given me in allowing me to have Tony's bike. And there will be a lot more on the channel about this V-strom. Well, there's a few things that need to be done to it. Where it has sat so long, it needs an oil change for sure. It needs to be gone through. It needs this inspection to get it registered. It may not end up on the road this season, but it's here and it will be featured on the channel. There are some great plans for this bike, God willing, depending on how all things go. Money is always the great equalizer, a great changer of plans, but you know, we'll see what happens with it. The plan is, the ideas are this: to get the bike back into tip-top shape, get it inspected, get it on the road, get it insured, do all of the fluid changes, do you know, chain and sprockets probably, and you know, it needs some things, but it is a great bike. It's a great platform. It's worth putting the money into, and I'm just thrilled to death. As I said, the plan though, one of the great plans for this bike is to do a run that is famous here in Newfoundland, and that is to do the Trans-Labrador Highway. The Trans-Labrador Highway used to be one of the great adventure rides, one of the greatest adventure rides in, well, maybe in North America, I don't know, at least in Eastern Canada. But, because it was all gravel road for over 1,100 kilometers of gravel road. And no gas stations, very few gas stations. It was an adventure rider's dream. But since those days, they've been paving more and more and more of the Trans-Lab Highway. And now, as of just a few weeks ago, the Trans-Lab Highway is now completely paved. If you want to go look on a map, you can see that the Trans-Labrador Highway goes from coastal Labrador, just on the mainland from Newfoundland. You go all the way up across Labrador into Labrador City. Then you can continue on the road and get down through Quebec to a place called Baie-Comeau, Quebec. Pick up a ferry across the St. Lawrence River into the Gaspé region, and then cross that, come into New Brunswick, down through New Brunswick into Nova Scotia, over to Cape Breton, pick up the ferry to Newfoundland, and back home. That's a massive loop. I think it's north of 3,000 kilometers, 3,200, 3,600 maybe. It's a long run. But the idea in the next year or so is to do the Trans-Labrador loop for us. Whether I do it solo or with somebody else, that remains to be seen. But it is a bucket list daydream of mine to ride Tony's bike on that loop. He always wanted to do that and never got a chance to drive the Trans-Lab Highway. And so it will be a bucket list thing for me, and it will be a trip to honor my friend at the same time. So I'm looking forward to that. Nice to see some construction done on at least some of the roads here. Our roads are in such bad shape, but it is nice to see the bridges at least being worked on. There's so many potholes and everything. I could rant about that all day. But the new V-strom is in my driveway. I've cleaned it up. We're going to start working on things. Whether I document any of the work that needs to be done on it or not, I don't know. We'll just have to see. I'm not really the mechanic. Oh, I could change the sprockets and chain out on it, but as far as a lot of the details, I won't. I will do a video on the details of this bike. For being a 2003, it was fairly well equipped for that time. It has some really good features on it, and I'm excited about it. I'm just thoroughly excited about it. It is going to take a bit to learn to ride it. Though I rode my dirt bikes, this is another animal altogether. It's a whole lot heavier, a whole lot bigger than the dirt bikes I used to ride. And it's a whole different animal than the C50 for sure. But it is a Suzuki, amen? That's going to be the catchphrase of the channel now. It's a Suzuki, amen? Right, so I'm also thinking of naming the two bikes. I'm thinking of names for the two bikes. I got something in mind, but I wonder what you think. If you're into naming your bike or not. I've never really done that, but I've been thinking of something for the channel just to name the two bikes, the V-strom and the C50. So if you have any names you want to share, anything you can think of, put them in the comments, and we'll enjoy that. We'll enjoy trying to name these two bikes. I have some names in mind, but if you guys give me some give me some better ideas, I'll take them. Well, thanks for joining me on Cruising the Narrow Road today. Hope you enjoyed the video. It's revealed to you what God has blessed me with the second bike and the plans that we have for it. I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If it's your first time here and you've never subscribed, please do so. Please subscribe, and don't forget to click that little bell icon to receive notification when there's a new video put up. Thanks for joining me on this little ride today. May God bless you. Have a great day.